Hello, everyone, and welcome to Riverside Theater's Backstage Chat, a podcast where we get to talk to some of the talented artisans who perform on our stages. Led by producing artistic director Alan D. Cornell and managing director John R. Moses, Riverside Theater is the only professional theater on Florida's Treasure Coast. Today, I'm very pleased to speak with the entire cast of Yankee Tavern. Part of our Bobby Olson series on the Waxlax stage, Yankee Tavern plays Riverside Theater from March 19th through April 7th, and it is one of our productions for the 23-24 season. I would like to welcome Patrick Byrnes, Emily Verla, Steve Brady, and Christopher Schmidt. And I want to sort of double welcome to Patrick and Emily because it's the first time you've been here at Riverside. And Steve and Chris, your family, so we're thrilled that you're back.
We're old.
We're old.
Yep.
Now, Yankee Tavern is billed as a thriller by Stephen Dietz. It had its world premiere at Florida Stage in 2009, just down the road from here. And I know you don't want to give too much away with regards to what the story is about, but can someone give our audiences just a little synopsis? We want them to come. So a little detail as to what is going on stage.
Sure.
Everyone looks at Emily. Go ahead, Emily.
So it takes place in the Yankee Tavern, which is in New York City, and
it's a historic tavern.
It's a historic tavern that's been there for hundreds of years, probably, and it's been passed down to its newer owner, who is my character's fiance, and it is a little bit difficult to give a synopsis just because this play is always turning you a little bit on your head. So
there are a lot of twists and turns going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of dynamics. There's the Adam, which Patrick plays, and Janet, the character you play, and you're engaged. You're working on trying to get married, although you kind of wonder whether he really wants to.
You know, I do.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
A lot going on, and the tavern, like Emily said, belonged to your dad, and he passed away, and now it is yours. However, it's also in a building that has
been condemned.
Yes.
And it's ready to be demolished. So Ray is the character who is living in the building that has been demolished, and has been coming to the tavern for ever.
Yeah. Ray is the best friend of Adam's dad, and he's been told to look after Adam. And Ray's one of these guys who kind of dropped out of society after 9/11. He's been living on the street. He's been living upstairs in the abandoned hotel. And this bar is his home. And it's a very different character than what I've done here before. He is a bit out there. You don't know if what he says is true or not. He sees people all the time. He talks to people. And he starts...
Not necessarily live people.
Definitely not necessarily, at least not in his mind. They are.
They are, yes.
He does see people upstairs in the hotel, and he has relationships with people that kind of keep him going. But he starts spinning tales, and you don't know what of what he says is true and what isn't. But then we get into the whole 9/11 cover-up and conspiracy.
And let me just also premise that the play is taking place in New York City. Yankee Tavern is in Lower Manhattan, and the year is 2006, so it's just a few years after the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah. It's still very raw.
Yes.
And, you know, Ray starts to weave this spider web of, did this happen? Does this connect? Is this true? How do these facts mesh with the story we've been told? We, the public, in New York City. And it's still raw for these people. And as an audience, the audience has to figure out and think, well, wait a minute, did that really happen? Did this really connect to this? And this is what we were told? So it involves the audience in trying to unravel this tangled web of intrigue. And then this mysterious guy walks in.
Yes, Palmer.
Palmer.
Yes.
And that's all you're going to
That's all
say. It's not until the second act that we get a little more glimpse as to who Palmer is with regards to, he's not just some random guy who walked off the street into this bar. And he's always asking for 2 beers, one for him and one for the stool next to him. And we just don't know, do we?
No, you won't know till you come and see the show.
There you go. There you go.
Because I'm not talking.
And it's interesting. Ray tries to get information from Palmer, or at least Ray tries to get Palmer on his side with regards to the theories, with his explanation of events. And Palmer's just not playing along.
We have a little back and forth.
Palmer has his own story, and we're not sure how that fits in with Ray's story or the story of these 2 folks. And that's what's sort of revealed in a good section of Act 2. And you have to figure out, is Palmer a good guy or a bad guy?
Right.
Everyone is keeping some stuff back, and some of it comes out, but never quite all of it.
And it really is a play full of each character's secrets. Like, we have our main plot, but you get to see everyone has their own secret or secrets that they're hiding throughout the story, throughout different aspects of themselves, which makes it very, very interesting.
Well, you're also in a place, the bar, the tavern, that could be condemned and just demolished at any moment. So you're almost living for the moment, because Adam could get the letter from the city to say, okay, next week it's coming down. And you kind of want it to happen, but you kind of don't want it to happen as well. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, as we said, this was something that was passed down from my father to me, so it's one of those things with a family business. Do you want it to come to an end with you? If you have separate ambitions that, selfishly you want, but there's also this a sense of obligation, sense of responsibility to your family and your history to keep something going. And we've said the building's pretty much condemned, and the tavern's the last real business standing. So how long am I gonna keep up this struggle for the tavern?
And you sort of rely on Ray, since your dad is not around, and Ray was your dad's best friend. He becomes your father, in essence, throughout this struggle. I'm maybe putting words in your mouth that he is struggling with regards to the tavern being gone. But it's interesting how Ray really is the father for everyone. Even for Palmer, in a sense. He's trying to give advice. He's trying to cajole him into the scene, to try to incorporate him in this little family dynamic you have. And Emily, your character Janet, sort of trying to figure out this relationship with him, not necessarily with Adam, although you do have difficulty with that relationship. Does he really want to get married? Oh.
Yeah, I would agree that Ray becomes a paternal figure to Janet as well. And in the same way that everyone with their dad does a big eye roll sometimes, that's happening too.
You mean parents embarrass their kids?
I mean, mine never have. Yeah, and I think what's particularly interesting about Janet, because she's a little bit on the outside, she is not coming into this with her own theories the same way that everyone else has more of an access point. It is very interesting to be the person who everyone else is trying to get on their side.
Would you say that the audience relates to you most because you're almost an outsider in this dynamic.
If I was I can't speak for the audience. You'll all have to come and find out if
Right.
that's how you feel. But if I was watching the show, I think so, because I think Janet is the one who doesn't know, who is at the basest level of not knowing. And so you're discovering all of these things with Janet. She's the one who definitely, it's difficult to trace going through what she's just nodding along with and what's starting to convince her and which ways she goes back and forth, which is fun, but also a little bit unmooring.
And second act, when Palmer really interjects himself more into the dynamic, you tend to wonder, is she as innocent as she portrays to be?
Right. I mean, Janet has some secrets too.
And Palmer is nodding, yes. Palmer, as opposed to Christopher. Palmer is
Right.
nodding.
Yes.
This is the most we've ever heard him speak.
Am I Palmer or am I Christopher?
Oh.
That's not in the story.
No. That's,
But Patrick's character is interesting, Adam, because Adam gets pulled into this conspiracy cover-up about 9/11, and you don't know how much he's involved
Right.
and how much he knows, whether he's being used or whether he's making his own choices, and his character gets pulled in. And as an audience member, you're trying to find out what he's doing and where he's going, which is really fascinating.
It goes from a very general, well, maybe not general, but overarching theme of the 9/11 attacks and all the theories and cover-ups that have come around about that, to a very personal connection to that, which makes it, as Steve said, very, very intriguing to this specific character. Someone, how is this person connected to everything like that?
Well, the play is billed as a thriller, and it seems intense, and the audience member has to think and sort of judge what's going on stage. However, there are a lot of comedic moments brought to us by Ray's character because of his out-of-the-box thinking, let's just say.
Yeah. Well, Ray's unfiltered. Ray says whatever he's thinking, and he has a lot of strange ideas and things he's picked up on along the way that he presents to everybody, and I think Ray really believes this stuff.
Well, Stephen Dietz, the playwright, has been called one of America's most prolific playwrights, and in 2019 was named one of the top most produced playwrights in America. Are you familiar with any of his work? Have you performed in any of other plays that he wrote?
I haven't.
I haven't done another Stephen Dietz play, but especially after I knew I was going to be coming here and looking into some of them, he's written so many different. I feel like a lot of playwrights get into a very specific vein, and so you know what's in store if you're like going to see a particular playwright, and Stephen Dietz has kind of been all over the map.
He does the thriller to the comedic and sort of everything in between.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. After you've been working on this play for about a week, what would you say with regards to the character that he's written for you guys? I'm assuming that they're all very three-dimensional, and obviously there's a lot of history and a lot of secrets to be shared, but how do you feel about Patrick? How do you feel about Adam? Emily, how do you feel about Janet, Steve, Ray, and Christopher Palmer?
So incredibly complex. It's an incredible character to try and portray, because as we were saying, there's so many secrets, and as an actor there's so many opportunities and things to play with how you hold that in, or how you reveal certain things at certain times, and why you do these things. Just such a complex person.
It's like peeling an onion. There's this layer, and then there's this layer, and there's this layer. Do you ever get to the heart of it?
I mean, I can say we've had a different theory about what's happening almost every single day of rehearsal. Yeah.
That's what you can say. Now, Alan Cornell is also the set designer and directing this play. What little insights has he given you? And I know Steve has worked with Alan, and you have worked with Alan before. What little insights has he given you with regards to finding this character?
We don't have little insights. we have lots of insights. And sometimes they're contradictory from day to day. But we have to try and figure out how it all fits together. You know, we're doing this in a thrust in the wax-lax space, which is something new for me. I don't know what you did before. So this is new and different. Having people on three sides. We did Freud in the round, I guess.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So
the direction has to be for people.
For people on three sides.
Yeah.
So sometimes what your impulse is as an actor reacting or approaching a character you can't do because of sidelines involving the three sides. And you'll get frustrated for a minute and then go, oh, that's right, they have to be able to see over here. But Alan has so much information, and he paints a very broad painting of the play, but then he also gets sometimes extremely specific depending on what you're doing at the moment. But as far as knowing how to build the characters, he's very supportive and pushing us in a direction that he wants us to go.
Well, he studies the play, and he embodies, in essence, the play. I don't think he knows Stephen Dietz personally, but he sort of can read. He's so intuitive, he can sort of read Stephen's mind as to this is how he was possibly thinking, and he's very astute in that regard.
And he's absolutely been continuing to do research all the way through. It feels like every day Alan comes in and he's like, I learned about a new conspiracy theory that we want to talk about.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I know we're very excited to have you guys on the Wax-Lax stage. It's a very intimate space, as you probably have gathered, and you guys definitely know. And our audiences here are just phenomenal, and they will really embrace this play. I know you guys have a full day of rehearsal yet to go, and you open in a week. So, 2 weeks?
Don't do that.
Oh, 2 weeks.
Don't do
2
that.
weeks. Well, yeah, 2 weeks. Week another week of rehearsal and a week of tech. So we're so excited to have you guys here and to present this piece. I know that audiences who liked a little bit of mystery with their entertainment will thoroughly enjoy this. And I encourage anyone listening or watching, if you like this type of play, and you will, I know you will, get your tickets early, because the last show that we did there sold out very, very quickly. So we want to encourage you to do that. So thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Christopher. You didn't say much.
I promise I'll say more in the show.
Well,
Second act.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very important. I mean, you were still embodying your character.
Yes, I don't want to give too much away.
Don't give too much away.
This play is very thought-provoking.
Very thought-provoking, very mysterious, but very entertaining.
Yes.
Sure.
My mother-in-law can't wait. This is her
Great.
favorite type of...
Is it?
Yes,
Oh,
she
that's
loves
great.
this
Well,
type.
there you go.
So shout
Christopher's
out.
mother-in-law. Can't wait. Don't wait either.
Put that on the ads.
So thank you, everyone, for taking the time and speaking to me and to our audience. And we're very excited to have Yankee Tavern on our Wax-Lax stage. And thank you all for watching this episode or listening to this episode. Until next time, I'm Oscar Sales.